From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Overtime Podcast.
From the Fox 8 studios in New Orleans, it's the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast. I'm Vasilios. That is Sean Fazende. Remember to like, subscribe, rate, and review. You guys can find us wherever you listen to and watch your podcast. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the little bell notification button. You get an update every time we upload a new podcast. Sean, it is yet another Victory Monday. The fourth one of the season so far, about equal with the lost Mondays of the season. But happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday. It's a black and gold Monday here in the city of New Orleans, and everyone seems to be a little bit friendlier, a little nicer, a little bit better mood. Remember, subscribe. If you're watching this video right now and you're not a subscriber, please subscribe, like, share. Also, if you listen to the audio version, wherever you get your podcast. As for the task at hand, yes, it's a Victory Monday. A Victory Monday that this Saints team absolutely needed, Sil.
100%. We discussed that a lot in our last pod. And the Saints, they came to play. And they did exactly what we said they needed to do. AK had a big day. Taysom was used properly. The offense came out and scored all those points. So let's talk about the big picture. Where does this Saints team lie now heading into Week 9?
There's a lot of layers you can look at the big picture. But the first and foremost thing, just bird's eye view, is the week-to-week life, the week-to-week existence in the NFL. When we last potted after a game, it was after that Friday. It was a Friday after that Thursday loss. Oh, the vibes were so bad, so bad.
We were ready to give up.
Bench this one, bench that one, fire this one, fire that one. You know, we try to be realistic about what we saw.
Yeah.
You know, we were debating on changes and this and that. Saints were kind of written off.
Yep.
And then here they are 1 week later. 1 week later. 1 week. Not a month. Not a year. 1 week later, they're back atop the NFC South, tied with the Atlanta Falcons. And it wasn't just a win, but another big picture aspect of it. It was the first win of the season that came in this manner. Let me explain. First game of the season where the offense truly won the game. The offensive playmaking offset defensive inefficiency all year. All year, every victory up until this point, the opposite was true. It was offensive inefficiency, defensive dominance. Not only did they win this game in the opposite fashion, they needed to because of how down in the dumps the offense had been, just in terms of just the aura, the vibe, the execution, to play calling, to players on the field, to emotional outbursts on the sideline. You know, credit the kind of the recognition of, I don't know who it was. Maybe it was Derek Carr, maybe it was Pete Carmichael, maybe it was Dennis Allen, maybe it was a little bit of everything when they had that meeting of the minds. But offensively, they pulled back a little bit. And instead, they simplified. And not simplify as in like you don't, you dumb it down. No, simplify in terms of you just don't put in the sheer high volume of plays. You don't need to go into a play or a game plan with 65 plays, and 65 plays has 65 different adjustments on, just add it up. Every play is going to have at least one adjustment. And then sometimes you're not even getting to some of the plays that you're practicing. Right. They pulled back in terms of probably, look, Dennis Allen threw out there, if you go with 50 and instead you go with 25 and you hone in on the details of execution, maybe that would work better. Clearly, it worked, because what ended up happening was the shorter menu of plays allowed them to do just that. Now you can focus in on the subtleties and the adjustments that need to have, and you're more dialed in, you're more focused, your brain is more sort of just, it's easy to recognize when it's just not as much information to take in. I mean, it's when you break it all down like that, it's pretty simple. And look, it sucks that it had to take this long to get to that point, but it's here. So offensively, it was the best output of the season. It was absolutely necessary. They had to have a game like this because they put so much into this offense in terms of what they felt like it could be. This was the offense they were going to be, that they had vision. A team that can run the ball, a team that can be explosive when they need to, a quarterback that was in complete command. Now, look, the Colts weren't a great defense, and they were certainly banged up, but who cares? Who cares at this point? You needed a win. That's a professional team on the road. You got the victory, a well-earned victory, a victory you deserved. And like I said before, the formula for success had been flipped. And although I'm sure the defensive players aren't feeling great about their performance, the offense really needed it. And honestly, to win a game in that fashion, I think was almost as big as the win itself, just because you can do it this way. Now, if you got into a semi-shootout, which it kind of was, there were a lot of points scored. Mm-hmm. You were able to come out on top. And look, if you'd have said that a couple weeks ago, there's no way you would have thought this team could win in even a mini shootout, which I guess you can somewhat label this.
So Derek Carr, best game as a Saint. He really looked in control, comfortable out there. What say you?
Best game as a Saint. I thought it was his best game in black and gold. I thought this version of Derek Carr is what the Saints had envisioned when they went out and were going to trade for him, gave him that $150 million contract. Went all out in recruiting him to come to New Orleans, beat out 2 other teams for his services. Had to withstand the visit. Then he left town, and he went to 2 other visits, and they were still able to get him back because of their sheer effort and will. And look, everyone had been waiting for the Derek Carr moment, and I think it finally came on Sunday. And he's in the midst of 3 straight 300-yard games.
For sure.
But not all 300-yard games are created equal. We know that. This one resulted in a victory. And I thought field general, point guard, he was in complete command, complete control, saw the field well, was accurate. The key with Derek Carr is always, always this. Does he trust the protection in front of him? Because when he trusts the protection, he can be a great quarterback. When he doesn't trust the protection, he's a little shaky. Now, trusting your protection makes it sound like I'm taking a dig at the offensive line. No. Sometimes he should trust the protection and doesn't, but on Sunday, he trusted the protection and he was rewarded because the offensive line came to play. There were times where he trusted and it didn't hold up their end of the bargain. It's been a mess all year in that O-line quarterback exchange, but they looked fantastic up front. Ryan Ramczyk was back. That was the only change. And look, if this is the secret sauce that works, I say stick with it, because you've been trying to find your magic 5 here. And if this is what gets the best product, then so be it. And this is back-to-back weeks now with some big-time yardage. But look, there's a bigger issue when it comes to Derek Carr. He needed that performance probably more than anyone. Pete Carmichael had become kind of public enemy number 1. Well, he was public enemy number 2 after the last week's loss. The frustrations with Chris Olave and the anger on the sideline seemed to have rubbed some people the wrong way. Felt like it rubbed himself the wrong way as well. That's why he went out, he reached out, FaceTime with his receivers, got everything out on the table, presumably right after the game last Thursday, and then when they started the week. So everyone was talking about how the good vibes, because they met up, they got all their issues out, and now they all know. Well, to have all that is great. But if it doesn't result in a win, well, then you're back at square one. But not only did it result in a win, it resulted in a win where the offense shined and had their best game of the season. So he was under the microscope, and he delivered. That's it. That's just facts, and that's what good players do, and that's what the Saints. That's why the Saints believe in him. And I know he's probably still got some critics out there. Look, that's fine. That's fair. It's been a bumpy, up and down, inconsistent season.
Some are YouTube comments.
Yeah, it's been an inconsistent season. Totally fair. But you can't gain consistency until you get that first win, and I think he got that first true statement performance with the victory in Indianapolis. So, like I said before, 3 straight 300-yard games, and this one resulted in – this was one of those where it felt like it was a dominating 300-yard performance because he was all over the field, and I thought he was great. I thought he was great on Sunday. He was one of the big reasons why they won the game.
Another big reason why they won the game, 4 rushing touchdowns by the Saints. So Alvin Kamara responsible for 2, Taysom Hill responsible for 2. This was the perfect time for both of those guys to show out the way they did, and we said it in our last pod. This was the game Alvin Kamara. It had to be an Alvin Kamara game, and in a way it was.
It's almost as if Saints coaches watch our film rooms. I don't know, because my film room on the tailgate, I honed in on, why are you not using Taysom Hill in the red zone more? They used him. Look what happened. He gets the fantastic run. Technically, it didn't count in the red zone because at the 20 is not the red zone, which is so stupid. But whatever. He had a great run. The blocking was phenomenal. He had the short yardage run as well. Look, man, you got a unique player. You got a unique talent. You need to use that guy. When you're able to use that guy, usually good things happen when he's productive. Look what happened. I mean, he was running the ball great. He even threw a couple of passes. In Alvin Kamara's case, I don't want to say we called him out. Whatever, however you want to use that phrase. But I had felt like he had kind of been subtly calling his teammates out, while I wasn't convinced that he had his best game yet. Mm-hmm. And I remember saying, you've been good, but you ain't been great yet.
No.
He knocked on the door of great on Sunday. He caught that nice little option route out of the backfield. I asked him about it after the game. He said, I love it when we call it. Another little subtle hint. Hope they keep it on the play sheet from here on out. We've been trying to get that back into our offense. Hint, hint, hint. I don't know why you would take
wink.
that out. And then the run on the draw was fantastic as well. And he almost like he got horse collared into an injury, but he was not. But that choice route, that option route out of the backfield, I mean, who's going to stop it? And he actually had another one but he went to the outside, gained about 20 yards as well. So I don't know how that's not the very first play in your playbook when you have Alvin Kamara coming back, but I certainly don't understand why it would take 8 weeks to get there, but it's there now. Mm-hmm. So Alvin Kamara delivered, Taysom Hill delivered, and good on them, because Talvin Kamara, once again, you can make a case, are the best two players on the Saints offense.
That is a really good 1-2 punch. So let's get to some fan questions as we try to do most Mondays here. And we actually got a surprising amount for a win. And
good. Keep them coming. I love it.
Please, YouTube comments, Final Word feature on the Final Play app. The first one we get to tonight is Brandon in Laplace. How concerning are Chris Olave's mental lapses on the field? Is he one of those guys the Saints have to get the ball to early to keep him engaged?
Okay,
Sean.
Okay, see, I understand that question, but I don't like that logic of, if he doesn't get involved early, he's going to have lapses later. This is professional, man. This is professional football. You're getting paid to do a job. The Saints are going to do everything in their power to get him involved very early in the game in that first 20 play script. But if somehow the ball doesn't go in his direction or he doesn't have a catch, you can't check out. This is professional football. You've got to stay dialed in, because you never know when that opportunity is going to come. Now, you could be a game where you get 4 or 5 touches in the first 15 plays. It's just the way the matchups take themselves, and where the matchups take the ball. And I think he led the team in receptions on Sunday, but he also had the drop
too.
Look, he had the drop or lost in the lights. It was a phenomenal route. That's a touchdown for Chris Olave. It would have been another touchdown in the game. Would have really blew that game open. He wasn't able to make the catch. And then, I can live with that, because that happens probably more than you think. Just ball lost in the lights. The one I didn't like was actually one he caught. It was kind of a deep out route that he caught. And he has plenty of room to catch, look at the ball, and turn upfield and run and get some more yards. And he kind of catches it almost like he wasn't sure where he was on the field, and looked down and then kind of kept his momentum going out of bounds. Well, you could have gotten an extra, I don't know, and the defender was somewhat in frame, so call it an extra 5, 10, whatever yardage. So that all matters. Those details matter in the game. So Chris Olave is going to have a bright future here in New Orleans. But hone in on your details. Keep your concentration. You cannot have concentration lapses. This is what's bothering me about this narrative, is because he still gets his targets. It's not like he's not getting targets. It's not like he's getting ignored. Like the ball is going in his direction. Like I said, that Thursday night game, he had 15 targets in the game. So, that's a little bit of the push and pull with this narrative, because to me, not being involved is the ball not going in your direction. It is going in your direction, despite some quote unquote mental lapses or whatever the case may be. It's still, Derek Carr still believes in him. He's still throwing the ball to him. In fact, Derek Carr said before the 3rd and 13 play to Rashid Shaheed, he was actually looking for Olave first, but the safety kind of cheated over to Olave's side, so he went to Rashid Shaheed. But I still think Olave, there's more there. He knows it. And look, this maybe, I know some people have used the term sophomore slump. He's still putting up numbers, and I still think he's going to make more plays for for the Saints. You just got to hone in a little bit, be a little more concentrated, show a little more concentration, and hopefully he'll get rewarded in that.
All right. This next one comes from Chuck in Ponchatoula. Mm-hmm. This one came in at like 4:51 in the morning this morning.
All right, Chuck.
All right. And so he asks, how can we get Rashid Shaheed the ball more?
Well,
I get he only had 3 catches, but that went for over 150 yards and a touchdown.
Averaged 51 yards a catch. 51 yards a catch he averaged. All 3 plays were huge.
Randy Moss stat line.
In this game, he was utilized more in the vertical part of the game. I don't know if that was a matchup thing. He can stop on a dime and break it out on an out route or break it out on a dig or a comeback. But let's be honest. He is special getting vertical. Mm-hmm. And when you're special getting vertical, you have an elite trait that Rashid Shaheed has, which is speed. He's as fast as Tyreek Hill, or at least on the same stratus.
I think they're the only 2 guys that average, 15 miles an hour?
15, 16, something like that. I forget what the broadcast said.
Sweet Amazon metrics. Anyway.
But, so when you have that, that's what you focus on first. Now, you don't always get the look. You don't always get the matchup. You don't always get the secondary to just constantly go vertical. But it was there in Indianapolis, so that's where he lived. Mm-hmm. I am perfectly fine with that because it was big play after big play after big play. This is 3rd and 13 on the road for a second-year player, and he's and Carr is dropping it in the bucket, and he's coming down with it. He's not losing it. He's coming down with the big catch, does the, thing like that. Put him to sleep. Derek Carr did it as well. That was a good moment. Seeing Carr so excited and seeing Shaheed so excited because they put so much work in, and it was such a clearly it was a tough week in terms of just let's put it all out there. That's how you grow though. Sometimes you got to get uncomfortable sometimes. So they did that, but Shaheed just keeps showing up, and the touchdown was outstanding. The throw to Taysom from Taysom, I did not think that was gonna get overturned.
No.
Because it was ruled an interception on the field. And I still watched him like, oof, I know he had it, but it looked like they were kind of wrestling it. But, hey, Saints caught a break. And I even asked Dennis Allen about that. He goes, yeah, we got it on the good side of one. It feels like it's been a while since we said that. So it's been that kind of year. But, again, another one of those things where, like, you put the process throughout the week was correct. The communication was open. Everything was out on the table. It's almost like the good vibes followed them and the good fortune followed them when they were able to do that. So, and remember, this offense was down 17-7. Or this team was down 17-7. Mm-hmm. They outscored them 31-10 the final 2.5 quarters. So they flipped the switch and really put that game away.
All right, this next question comes from Randolph. Still need some work on defense. Protection is getting better, more work to be done, and can't be too happy about our quarterback. He has to get better and improve.
Well, look, that's not the game to have that Derek Carr criticism. The Sunday game is not the Carr criticism game.
At least it's consistent.
I thought he was. I thought, like, if Carr plays like that every week, the return on investment will be very real for the Saints. If not, give them more than their money's worth. But defensively, there's an issue. They're not stopping the run. Mm-hmm. They're not disciplining their run gaps. They saw it a couple times. And they're getting a little sloppy when it comes to finishing. So, there's still an issue with true pass rush. It's not quite there as much as it was earlier in the season. That's concerning to me, how the front has leveled off a little bit. And this is now the 3rd or 4th game in a row. Gardner Minshew has got some mobility. He's a little slippery back there, but he's not a fantastically mobile guy. And they struggle with him breaking containment and getting out and making some plays. So defensively, they've got to get back to where they were. But credit the offense, because when they were down defensively, the offense stepped up, and they were the difference. And you know what? If it's got to be that way, so be it, because the defense bailed them out quite a bit earlier in the season. But let's not kid ourselves. The defense has to be better.
Absolutely. Any last thoughts on this Victory Monday?
Yeah. Shout out to Indianapolis. I like the way that city is set up. The airport, from the airport to the downtown area where the stadium is and where we stayed, it was all within a very short distance. Not always the case in places we go. Saints are 4-4. Big one this week against the Bears. They'll face another backup quarterback. So it should be a fun week. And hopefully, Deuce and I were talking about this on the Black and Gold Review. This is the week. Don't get lazy. Don't get soft. Don't think everything's fine. Don't think everything's good. If you're DA, if you got to be a jerk, be a jerk. This is the time. This is the time to really hone in and tighten up to make sure this team that has a tendency to relax and get a little spacey at times, to force them to concentrate and treat this like it's the most important game of their career, because all that matters is getting to 5-4.
Absolutely. Thank you to everybody that sent us questions. And, of course, keep doing that. We're going to read those. Comment under the YouTube video. We'll get to those, too. We try to respond to every single one that we can. And we have some cool stuff in the works.
We do have some cool stuff in the works. Should we say it? Why not? Yeah, we're going to have a new look to this studio. We've gone from one look to another look to this look, but it was all been temporary. But we should have a new look to this studio very, very, very soon. We hope you guys will like it, because we've been getting some comments about the look of this show. Some good, some not so good. But
harsh
we hear
criticism.
You.
Yeah.
We hear you. And more positive things are on the way for this podcast.
Absolutely. All right. For Sean Fazende, I'm Vasilios. We'll catch you guys next time.
From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Overtime Podcast.